Good evening. I'm Dr. Lori Franklin, and I'm the Library Media Coordinator for Olathe Schools, and I work with all of our school libraries.
And I'm Leigh Rogers, President of Olathe NEA. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak tonight to bring to you a presentation about Read Across America in Olathe Schools. Hi. Did we skip one? There we go. Well, we are excited that it is Read Across America time again. The official day that it's celebrated is March 4th, but it's been around since, or March 2nd, I'm sorry, but it's been around since 1998, brought forward by the National Education Association. And right now it's a year-round program that focuses on motivating children and teens to read and about events, partnerships, and resources that are for everyone and about everyone. NEA provides some recommendations for the literature and lots of teaching resources throughout the year. So every month they're updated. And I heard several board members that have celebrated Read Across America with classrooms in the past. So it's not just classroom teachers, but our librarians. We have principals, parents, grandparents, and celebrities that take part in this day as well.
So we have recognized over the years, and so has NEA, that it's a growing need. It's an important need for us to recognize that children need to see diverse literature. And one of the topics that we talk a lot about are windows and mirrors, and we also talk about doors too, but windows and mirrors are really important. And I'm going to let some video content speak to you about that to explain a little more. The first clip I'm going to show you, however, is just a student talking about a book. It's a very brief one.
I like this book because the pictures go along with the story and there's so many details. This is just a great book and I think anybody would enjoy it.
Quick little book review there.
I like this book because the pictures go along.
Hi, I'm Danielle, Broadbooks. I'm the librarian at Westview Elementary School, and I want to tell you about a book called Stella, Diaz Has Something to Say, written by Angela Dominguez. This book is considered an own voices story because it is written by a person of color about people of color. So last year I had the opportunity to read this book aloud with a small group of students that were of all different grades in our school. We started a soft start in the morning where they have breakfast together and just build those connections across the community. However, our students were really quiet first thing in the morning and they were struggling to build those connections. So I decided we'd try a read aloud. So Stella is a third grade Mexican-American student who learns that sometimes when people are moved to the United States from other countries, they're called aliens. And that feels like a perfect description to Stella. She imagines herself as an alien from outer space. And, you know, sometimes she just doesn't feel like she fits in anywhere. She doesn't speak English as well as the students at her school. So she goes to a special class for students who need help with their English. However, she also doesn't speak Spanish as well as the rest of her family because she's lived in the United States for most of her life. So my students of color here at Westview, we have a really high Latino population, and we have lots of students who have not lived in the United States their whole lives. So they were able to connect to the story because they could obviously connect to Stella's experiences. But what's really cool is my students who can't say that they shared that same background with Stella and those same experiences were also able to connect with her just because of the things that she was experiencing with friendships and at school. So Angela Dominguez's book simultaneously helped students to see themselves in Stella while also helping them to build connections with each other. And that's exactly what we're looking for when we're trying to build a diverse collection of library books in our school libraries and classroom libraries across the district.
And that was Danielle Broadbooks, if you didn't catch that, from Westview Elementary.
I like this book because the pictures go.
Okay, now the next person we're going to hear about, she'll introduce herself, but it's Amanda McCoy at Walnut.
Hello, I'm Amanda McCoy, librarian at Walnut Grove. It is essential that we share inclusive titles with our students. These titles serve as mirrors for students who look like the characters represented and who see their cultures represented in the books. In a simple yet powerful way, these books send a message. You are important, you matter, you belong here. They also serve as windows for other students. They see the culture represented and the protagonists in the stories, and they see their humanity. They see that these people deserve all the same rights and privileges that they enjoy. One such book that we have in our library is Black is a Rainbow Color. Before this book was even processed, when it was behind the counter, I had a student point and say, Mrs. McCoy, I want that book. The girl on the cover looks like me. So we saved it for her, of course. This is a wonderful book. The protagonist in the story originally bemoans the fact that black is not in the rainbow, but then she realizes all the things that black is. Black is joy, black is rhythm, black is singing, black is power, black is a culture, and black is a rainbow color. It's just one of many wonderful inclusive titles we can share with our students.
All right, so that's the elementary perspective. And actually, some of the books that are being talked about in the presentation are in front of you. You may have recognized them if you're looking at those. Next up is the middle school perspective, and they take a different take on this and the way that they choose to share diverse books with students.
Good evening. I'm Ann Mateer, Library Media Specialist at California Trail. And I'd like to take a few moments to tell you about the Trail Challenge that happens at all Olathe middle schools. The purpose of Trail Challenge is most basically to encourage a love of reading with our students. We also want to expose them to a breadth of diversity in terms of culture and life experiences. Books are a way for students to see themselves in a mirror. What are the experiences that they're going through? Windows into worlds where it's full of fantasy and fun. Maybe they won't actually get to go there, but they can take a peek into other alternate realms. And for doors that will lead them into different experiences on their own life's journey. How do we select the books? Well, this year, our list of 16 is right here, and there'll be a link at the end of this video if you'd like to go look at these in a little bit more detail or depth. But the 10 library media specialists read throughout the year, and we keep an ongoing list of the books that we are most enthralled with. The books need to be less than 2 years old. We read book reviews, we look at award lists, and of course we get great recommendations from our staff and our students. We debate these books and come up with a list of 16 that we will promote late spring, summer, and roll out in the fall as well. Recently, we posted all of these books on Twitter and heard back from quite a few authors, very excited that their books are being read and enjoyed here in Olathe. Some of the outcomes from Trail Challenge are our circulation numbers go way up. We've cultivated a relationship with the Olathe Public Library and Johnson County Public Library in terms of them promoting our list and adding these books in greater volume to their circulation as well. Trail Challenge is also a relationship builder for library media specialists and students, as well as students to students who come together and talk about books, either maybe during their lunchtime with a chat and chew, or we have parties. Maybe not this year, we didn't have any pizza parties or popcorn parties, but in years past and in the years to come, we will host events where students can get together and talk about literature. We've also seen some kids really expand some of their understanding and experiences with literature, so that's very exciting for them to go, I had no idea who Bonhoeffer was and the role he played in World War II with Hitler. And so that's exciting to see them delve into history and different aspects of literature. In March, we have a voting March Madness style brackets, and all Olathe students in middle school come together and have the opportunity to vote for their very favorite book. It's very exciting and very impactful, powerful for these kids to interact with literature and to read a great selection of novels. Next, we'll hear from Catherine Leo as she book talks one of this year's titles.
This book is called The Crossover, and it is written as a fiction book, and it's also written as a graphic novel. And the graphic novel version is on our Trail Challenge list this year for the middle school libraries. And the book is written in a kind of free-form verse, rap-like. And this is the story of two twins, Josh and Jordan Bell. They are 12 years old, and they are fantastic basketball players. Their dad played. They have grown up with the sport and the love of the sport, and they are very tight-knit and belong to a very tight-knit family. Their goal, they think they're going to be winning or hoping to win the city championship in basketball. And with these two at the helm, they're pretty confident that it will happen. Unfortunately, a couple things happen that cause some conflict between the two boys. One is a girl comes between them. And then two, their dad gets very sick, and it leads to a crisis in the family. And so basketball is the main part of this story, and many of the poems are fueled with that kind of game action. But also an important part of this is the love of a family, and also when you have plans in life, sometimes things get derailed, and how to move on and go with plan B and try to survive these conflicts that you have in life. With the pictures in the graphic novel, adding to the free verse, it is an amazing, fun book, and it has been very popular with our students at our schools.
That librarian that just talked, I'll let her finish. Oh, she's finishing. She reads a book a day. A book a day. It just amazes me in order to be able to make recommendations to students.
Good evening. I'm Ian.
And finally, I want to give you the high school perspective. We're almost done here. And this is Amy Brown.
Hello, my name is Amy Brown. I'm the librarian at Olathe South High School. I have two primary goals for promoting diversity at South's Library. The first is to guarantee that every student can see themselves reflected in a book. These mirror books are not only validating, but can mitigate feelings of loneliness and isolation for students. My second goal is to show students that there is a world outside of their community that has interesting people, places, ideas, and customs, and that these window books can provide the opportunity for greater understanding and empathy. In the Neighborhood of True by Susan Kaplan Carlton is a mirror book for me. It's 1959, and Ruth Robb, her mother, and younger sister have moved back to Atlanta to live with her Methodist grandparents after her father's sudden and untimely death. Being Jewish in New York City was easy, but that isn't the case in the South. So when Ruth's grandmother encouraged Ruth not to tell people she is Jewish, Ruth agrees. Keeping her secret means she gets to drink sweet tea with the other debutantes, swim at the club with Davis, and attend elite private parties with the other Atlanta aristocrats. While quietly attending temple on Saturdays, Ruth is reminded by the rabbi that the beauty of the South helps to conceal the hatred that simmers beneath the surface. And when that hatred is exposed close to home, Ruth is no longer willing to hide who she is. The window book I selected is Patron Saints of Nothing by Randy Ribay. 17-year-old Jay was born in the Philippines and lived there until he was 1. Then his family moved to the United States. As a young boy, his Filipino father and American mother took the family back to the Philippines to visit. While there, Jay and his cousin June formed a special bond. So when Jay learns that his cousin has been murdered, he is determined to discover the truth about what happened. When Jay goes to the Philippines to solve the mystery of June's murder, he ends up discovering truths about himself. This is a timely story about the drug wars taking place in the Philippines under President Duterte's rule. It is also a story of gaining understanding about one's identity, the danger of judging too quickly, and the meaning of family. Hello, my name is Amy Brown.
I'd like to repeat. So finally, because of this need for diversity, and we recognize that and we really embrace it, we've really tried to have some results-oriented service through our school libraries, results-driven service. So we've gotten together with other school districts. We've talked about this topic a lot. We've had specialized training from a book vendor about how to use a tool in order to really examine our collections and make sure that we are not missing certain things that we should be having in our school libraries. We're thinking about maybe even looking at diversity audits with other districts and what that would look like to really take a deep dive into our collections. Since COVID, every single librarian has had training to create web pages, and one of the things they share across these web pages are access to all books, including diverse selections. So I'm so proud of all of them, obviously, and I'm so proud of the people that made this video for you. And we're really thrilled to celebrate Read Across America all year long. Thank you.